was no one particular show, but the best tour was our first one with the band Journey. We were third billing. Go on at 7:30, 30 people in the audience. But we were bent on victory, whatever that meant. Journey had some backstage passes, but they were all married. It was very domestic. So we printed up our own and handed them out. Our backstage we packed with people. Ultimately, we started handing out backstage passes to everybody, throwing them into the audience, big clouds of pastel colors. There'd be thousands of people backstage, and Journey could never figure out where all this was coming from. And of course, we would routinely be threatened with being fired, kicked off the tour. During soundcheck, the singer came on stage once. He had a scarf around his neck. And I said to him, "Why do you have a scarf around your neck?" He says, "It was a rough night last night. Strained myself a bit." So the next day at soundcheck, I'd sent a crew member around, and everybody showed up on stage with scarves wrapped around our dicks. Pretty soon, we were opening for bigger and bigger bands. In early '79, we were playing at the Los Angeles Coliseum, some 90,000 people. Aerosmith was top bill, and I had an idea of a way to make an entrance, having gone down to the stadium to see the lay of the land some weeks earlier. There's a stairway, comes from the great arches down to a landing. It's a big landing, visible to everybody in the stands, and then another 300 steps down to the football field where the stage was. The idea was to park a Volkswagen on that landing, and since we knew the people who were running the PA system, we would have them make announcements all throughout the afternoon and into the evening that whoever it was from the Aerosmith team that owns the yellow Volkswagen, could you please move it? This is where they're stacking some equipment, whatever. It was visible to all 90,000 people. It's like up and behind the actual stage. We rented a real Sherman tank. In Hollywood, you can rent anything you want. The theory being that after all these announcements throughout the day and the night, the lights would go down, they'd go, "Ladies and gentlemen, da-da-da, Van Halen." The spotlights would hit us and the tank would come out from under a cover on that landing, run right over the Volkswagen, and we'd pop out of the tank and run down the stairs to the stage. We bought 2 old used Volkswagens so we could test one on a Sunday afternoon. We went down to the stadium, the band got in the tank. The driver, little southern guy with a Rawlings football helmet on, he's telling us all the movies this tank has been in. Oh yeah, The Longest Day, Kelly's Heroes. We had taken the engines and the glass out of the VWs, but otherwise they were completely intact. You would never know the difference from 2 feet away. We all got in the tank and ran over the Volkswagen. This was before monster truckism graced our popular culture. Monster trucks, bog racing, tractor pulls. I call this stuff turbo pop entertainment. Well, this was pre-turbo pop entertainment. That Volkswagen smashed flat like a bad textbook. Lug nuts shot off those wheels in excess of 200 miles an hour, and everybody was ducking and jumping out of the way. I still have the door from that car in my house, one of the souvenirs that I saved. The door bust off, flew like 20 feet. Everything just exploded outward. We figured we were onto something good. And of course, we would then play our show, and Aerosmith would have to make an entrance. We discovered several days before the show that Aerosmith had been put wise to our little scheme and had found some stock footage of airplanes blowing up tanks. And that's what they were going to use to show when they came on after us. So here we are with a gutted Volkswagen sitting up on the dais and a Sherman tank under a tarp with gorillas standing around making sure nobody looks underneath. We decided that because Aerosmith had a little trump card that we weren't going to do the tank trick. So we never ran over the Volkswagen, we just run down the stage. We didn't want to be one-upped on our one-upsmanship, you know. I haven't spoken with the boys in Aerosmith since then. You set up for a tour, and you've got like 80 people in 6 tour buses. They all pull into port, usually in front of the Riot House, the Hyatt House on Sunset Boulevard. Everybody shows up just like at the docks. Kiss their significant others goodbye. There's tears, there's waving. Just streaming out of the bars or waking up next to Juanita somebody and going, "Jesus, it's first bell." The ultimate guys show up with barely a belly pack, wearing a pair of shorts, some tennis shoes, and a t-shirt. In the pack is a jacket and a pair of jeans. That's about it. Some cigarette lighters, a toothbrush. You'll get your hair conditioner and shampoo at the hotel. Those little bottles in every bathroom. Ultimately, everybody's wearing free promotional merchandise. In the late 70s, up until the mid-80s, there was a lot more throwaway cash before Reaganomics. That's a quickie way to say it. It means that we all ran out of money. But up until then, Jesus, we'd all come walking in wearing a merchandising hat with the name of the band, pair of sunglasses that had been supplied by the guy from Hawaii Tropic because he got free tickets, a t-shirt that came from the record company, you got a tour jacket on, a pair of shorts featuring the latest promoter's logo, so on. Every band would have a Nike or Converse representative show up, a fan, and say, "Hey, I'm coming to the show in St. Louis. Do you guys need tennis shoes?" "Oh, you bet." And he would show up literally with 70 pairs of tennis shoes. Want to throw a little salt in the rice? You send a runner out to the local Harley-Davidson shop, which exists in every major city on the free earth, and invite the whole staff to the show. And you start your collection of Harley-Davidson shirts from city to city. Because every Harley shop has their own variation. You know, the Ride to Live, or Live to Ride, or whatever. And if you go through an entire tour like this, you're going to have 300 Harley-Davidson shirts in infinite variety, all of them on black material. This is how we all looked. It was something like from a Terry Gilliam movie. It was the wildest ragtag army, as all great armies are. Think of the great American Indian warriors and how they would dress. Traditional Indian breastplate with a top hat, a colonel's wool jacket, and a loincloth and buckskin. The spoils of war. So it's off to war. Everyone on the bus. Low end of the bus spectrum was the first time Van Halen went to tour in Europe and we opened for Black Sabbath. Literally 22 cities in 28 days. I never knew there were that many cities in England. England, there's 3 television channels in 1978. 2 of them are BBC. A lot of documentaries. We got a quote-unquote tour bus, which is for tourists. Windows all the way down, 2 seats in an aisleway, and 2 seats. But wasn't meant for sleeping. The armrests were bolted into the floor. And the way you would go to sleep, because you would travel all night after the show to the next city, you put your head down on your shoulder, slid your bottom leg under the armrest, across the aisleway onto the other seat under the armrest. So you're on your side. You put your upper leg on top of the armrest across the aisleway and lay there on your side like so. You're done, right? Wrong, because your right arm's hanging off the edge of the seat. So we all started wearing suspenders so that you could gaffer tape your arm to the suspenders and keep it from hanging down off the seat. And every set of seats had a body sleeping like this all the way down. Sometimes when we'd go into a bigger city from Peoria to Paris, a number of the road crew would get on our bus, the band bus, because we would leave sooner, and they wanted to get there earlier and shop. They would sleep head to toe on the floorboards underneath, all legs going across the seating. It was like climbing into an Apollo module. Took a while to get into position. First you would arrange the little net piece that sits on the back of the bus seat, to put your map or your cigarettes, sunglasses. I remember somebody saying, "Look, there's Edinburgh Castle." And it was too much trouble to get out of the capsule. So I opened one eye, and there it was reflected upside down in my sunglasses. If you had to use a toilet in the back, you had to monkey down on top of the seats over all the bodies. And if the bus hit a bump or took a weird turn, and Britain is not known for its straight-line construction, you'd crash down, and if somebody's sleeping on the floor, there'd be a 5-guy pileup. High end of the bus world is what I call Dolly Parton's bathroom. You get these huge Eagle buses that travel America, and the country western crews spend so much of their time out there, they really do the insides of their buses. They can sleep 14 comfortably in bunks, with a video, microwave, refrigerator, freezer, grill, cold and hot water, bathroom, shower, all this stuff. Stereo, TV video system, hanging plants, tile on the floors, this kind of thing. Dolly Parton's bathroom. But nevertheless, you're in a 40-foot aluminum tube, 18 feet wide with all these other guys. On this last tour, I looked down the gangway from the back of the bus. It had the appearance of being round, cylindrical because of the doorways. You see various arms hanging out of bunks and off of couches, and one little bulb, red, hanging in the ceiling up front. It was right out of Das Boot.